honestly, if it's real, it's one and the same for everybody. And especially if it's abiding, meaning that it doesn't go, it's not blinking in and out. Until it blinks in and out, it's unique to you and your journey. But once it's abiding and permanently, the light bulb is on and doesn't go off for anything, awareness is totally, the shutter is open. It doesn't close ever again to understanding. That's the same for everyone. There's no difference. Thousands of years ago, thousands of years in the future, knock on wood, or that they're still humans. um, it's the same now. And then when you're ready to pass on, still the same. That part is done. And but the abide, it has to be abiding. And a lot of people get confused about that part. Awakening is not the same for everybody until it's fully abiding. Just that piece of awakening. The second half of awakening is the return journey and the resolving the whole paradox, everything that's believed in duality over time. And due to separation having an impact on the mind, the body, the psyche, probably in the cells, who knows how deeply it's gone. The pain of separation, through the system. And that gets to be illuminated. And that takes time because it was built in time, so it takes time. And that part of the journey, the journey is unique because the content is unique. And that might be also a time where one is needing to take a look at some pain that still lives inside, that whatever hasn't been resolved and healed and uncovered that is needing it, not everything. We have so much stuff that just by grace disappears. We're kind of mysteriously, in a good way, unconscious about how much actually gets taken care of. So we're like, we think sometimes, oh, there's so much still here. Well, it's just honestly, what's so cool about this part of the journey is that it's out of self-love that it doesn't disappear because it wants to heal and learn about what was misunderstood, some kind of pain inside. If something's kind of taking time and doesn't seem to be budging for a long time, or whatever surfaces, whatever comes from the unconscious bubbling up and presenting itself. This now awakened energy, this understanding that there's not really two. It's always just been one undivided whole. It out of love, it wants to reunite with that which has been born out of division and confused. And so that's the embodied healing journey. And sometimes we need a little help at this point because not everybody naturally is like not everybody is able to understand how to do this part. And so that's a good time to reach out to someone who knows how. or somatic kind of, but through the lack of, through understanding there's no real separate self there. What is it that does this reconciliation itself to itself? And it's done in a sensorially way. So it's not the, you know, the emptiness um, witnessing, because we're talking about embodiment now. We're talking about the deepening into realization. So it's not going to be a cool, distant, I see it, all is well. Hmm? That's nice, but it doesn't really touch it and transform it with understanding because it's made of form. It's dancing particles of vibration of form, very subtle, whatever content it is. And it gets met not through a cool witnessing, but through a touching, through an intimacy. You have heard me say, and maybe other teachers say, um, that, and it's an intimacy with all things. Realization is an intimacy, the deepening of it. So it's not a cool awareness is aware of itself. It enters and steps into life and says, I am this too. And not only that, but I am that and this. And the more that the abiding is knowing itself as that, the more it can be this. Because it's not afraid of losing itself. It's not afraid of getting lost anymore. And it boldly goes where no one's gone before with a light, you know? It says with a lantern. This is myself I'm connecting with. And then and the heart gets engaged, you know? Unity is a birthing of the heart, and where love is born for itself. So awareness, waking up to itself, is the cool tone of God. It's nice. I love it. It's like, but we can be all, we're all of it. See, we can just go there at will. Just go, awareness, untouched, undiluted, the unbecoming, the versus the becoming, the being part. And it's it's not like there's this and there's that. You know, there's the being part and the becoming part, the being part and the becoming part side by side. We're still imagining it, right? It's being, becoming, it's it is all of that at once, simultaneously. It's all of that at once. The mind is hard, it's hard for that the mind to understand that paradox. And even after deep realization, you know, it can still do that for a while because of being trained to see life as duality. There's light, there's dark, there's daylight, there's night, right? So it's just deep inside. We see things still. Language is made out of and born out of duality for the most part. So it over time it wears itself down, that way of seeing life in a divided way, seeing the divine as distinct from each other. These two aspects of, in this case, these two aspects of the divine. Does this make sense? Yeah. And but it gets to be lived. That's how it's seen. It's not seen. The mind understands through the lived experience that the body has and the psyche of like, there's no line there. There's no real line between the transcendent and the immanent. There's no real division there. And it gets erased over time. And it gets erased the more that there's embodiment of it. So, creator, God, whatever is learning about itself here through all manifestation. And through you, it's going to be unique. But there are things we share. I've shared this before, this saying, as above, so below. And, that saying, it's really quite profound. Um, and in this case, what it would mean, how we could use that is the more that there is an unmoving deepening of emptiness of our nature, the more there is an immanent knowing that this is it too. So at first the door might be open this deep, it keeps expanding. I know that earlier I said that awakening is awakening, but I think space is also limitless. Space is space, and it's also limitless. So maybe the more that one lets go and relaxes for the whole system, how limitless emptiness is and how safe it is to, you don't even think about it anymore. It's just, there's nothing to hold on to. And the more that immanence can take place, being here. Being here and deepening into existence, right? Deepening into the body, filling it out, you know, filling it in, bones and everything. And then what happens naturally is that everything in creation is seen more clearly. It's not just here. So then there's above, below, as above, below, and then as within, so without. You heard of that one too, right? It makes a cross in the end. It's above, so below, vertical, and down into the embodiment of being here. And then the horizontal, heaven and earth. And then horizontal is, as within, so without, on all ends, in all directions. Horizontal, life, all humans, everything here. So what's known here is known without and understood. Grokked, they say that word. It's an English word. It's a new English word. Might be in the dictionary if there were still dictionaries. Grokked, meaning it's fully known and understood throughout the system. That the divine is everything in is also creation form, including oneself as one is. And then there comes the compassion and the humility and the vulnerability of realizing that just as one is that we don't need to be on an ongoing improvement project. And refinement happens in a different way from that point on. Refining one's ability to communicate and be kind and be here. However, your personality in the best kind of way is wired. Everyone's different. Some are more hermity, some are more wanting to be out in the world. And that's just a personality thing. But this understanding is very intimate. Just like truth with a capital T just has a high bar. It refines out of compassion for itself. Hmm. And so it's willing to look at everything, that comes up, not like a microscope. I got to keep looking at that. Seeking mode is no longer there in the same way. So there's not a like well, if there is, then it's there's something that still hasn't settled. But there's the openness and willingness to constantly be becoming conscious without an obsession that is from more of a doership. It comes completely out of the illumination. It just shines a light on everything. And it just hurts to ignore it or to be unconscious, whatever it shines its light on. Lots of stuff needs to remain unconscious. Jung, Carl Jung says that most of us is under the water in unconsciousness, and that's not a bad thing. That's the creation soup of God itself is creating and dreaming itself up. So that which is above the water is what's revealing itself to be illuminated. And it knows what to do and how to do it.